Assassin's Creed Shadows, the biggest woke disaster that has not yet been released. And when it gets released, my god, are we gonna have a good time. Because Assassin's Creed Shadows will be 100% the final nail in the Ubisoft coffin. They can't fix it, they can't change it, they can't delay it any further. It's gonna be the end, boys. It is literally gonna be the end of Ubisoft, and I can't wait for it. Again, the game is not still out, and people have already dragged it through the mud, dragged it through shot glasses effectively. They have dragged it through everything. From the design, from the inconsistencies, from the gameplay to everything. But Shadows releases, it is gonna be the greatest woke disaster of, well, past 10 years, I guess. It's gonna literally kill studio. Mark my words, boys, it's over.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we got even more information coming out from the former Gears of War executive producer, Laura, who we've reacted to a bunch of her videos on YouTube. Apparently, she's come out and spoke against Assassin's Creed Shadows in one of her latest videos, where she said she was baffled. She doesn't quite understand as to why they made the decision to go with Yasuke as a main protagonist in Assassin's Creed Shadows. And if you guys...
Well, I don't know. Maybe because he's black. No, couldn't be because he's black. Damn it! Because he's the legendary blacks. No, it can't be it. Maybe because he's pretty much at this point in Assassin's Creed Shadows a completely made up DEI hire. Yep, that's the one. That's the one. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Guys are unaware, if you're living under a rock, there was a lot of a backlash, obviously, regarding Yasuke being chosen by Ubisoft, because as much as Ubisoft wants to virtue signal about how this was the right choice and this was the only way for us to represent Japan, we all know the exact reason why this absolutely woke-ass company decided to use Yasuke, of all people they could have used, to represent Japan back in the feudal ages.
Also, they decided to represent Japan by putting in Chinese architecture, because what's the honest difference between them? Nothing, probably, said woke people. Oh no, this is just wrong, okay? George Floyd would go headfirst into any person and just start a scuffle, okay? This is not this is not historically accurate. This is not biblically accurate in the slightest, in fact. He wouldn't run. He would fight. This is more made up than Yasuke's life story. I ain't gonna do nothing.
So let's get into this article, guys, from Fandom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says Gears of War executive producer baffled. It says why Ubisoft chose to make Assassin's Creed Shadows with Yasuke as the main protagonist. Laura Fryer, the executive.
Laura Fryer, I do not know who this is. Let me actually Google this. Laura Fryer? LinkedIn? Who is this? Because when we're talking Gears of Laura Fryer IMDb, what the hell? Let's check this. Oh. Let's see. Because, this doesn't look that bad. Because when we're talking about Gears of War, boys, you have to remember, I didn't play any Gears of Wars, but I do know their story. Okay, listen. When we're talking Gears of Wars, there's Gears of Wars good, there's Gears of Wars bad. So let's look at this. It seems like this is the original Gears of Wars from 2006. That's good. Two Human. Don't even know what this is. Gotham City Imposters. I actually know what this is. It was relatively fun, I guess, but it wasn't too special. A 6.4 does seem fair, because the game is like a 5, 6, or if you're super bored, 7. Crimson Skies, and I don't remember too much about this. Productions, Two Human, blah blah blah. That's a pretty decent IMDb. Let's see the pictures. That's not her. Okay, well, this is her. Let's see. Not bad. Seems like a normal woman. Nothing too special, nothing to write home about, but nothing really bad about this. Just your average woman, completely normal. We have a Reddit thread here. Laura Freyer, former executive, blah blah blah. Is this? I wonder what Nautic found. And you can't see. Whoa, she has a YouTube. Welcome to my channel where I talk about games, technologies. Dude, are we games industry bubble? Shit, I want to talk about Dragon Age Railguard. Let's do let's do all of this. Oh, Concord! Jesus, this is a goldmine channel. I love this. Okay, seems like she is one of us, boys. One of us! One of us! Perfect. 10 out of 10 with one of us again. In any case, let's get back to Hypnotic and his avatar, which is gonna be banned if he shows ties. And I hope he fucking doesn't show ties because that would be wrong. Hilarious. It's his choice. Now, I'm not saying he should. But, maybe he shouldn't. He should. Show ties, Hypnotic. Do it. Be a man.
Executive producer on Gears of War revealed that she was baffled why Ubisoft decided to make Assassin's Creed with Yasuke as the main protagonist. In a recent video uploaded to her YouTube channel titled The Games Industry Elephant, Pryor discussed how video game companies decided to hire
good name, though. I'm gonna steal that someday.
And consultants in order to mitigate risk regarding geopolitical issues. Now, okay, so here's the problem, right? Here's my biggest issue with hiring consultants, right? If you guys look at all of the recent issues that we've had on video games, right? I'll give you a perfect example.
Hiring consultants doesn't make sense in the first place because hiring consultants is a yearly activity when you need accreditation for companies and shit like that, when you need to get ready for the tax season and all of that typical nonsense bull. But in the games industry, hiring consultants means that they're gonna check your fucking thing. And I'm sorry, are you trying to make a ancient Japan mythology game? No? Well, then you probably don't fucking need a consultant. Probably don't.
Well, Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man 2 with Miles Morales. Miles Morales is obviously a half Puerto Rican character, and they decided to put a Cuban flag in his bedroom. And then this is supposed to be Insomniac, right? It's supposed to be Insomniac that has all these consultants. There's no way they can make the mistake, right? Because they have consultants. That's the entire reason consultants exist, because they're supposedly doing the research. They're supposedly putting in the effort and the time to ensure accuracy when it comes to representing non-white people. That's basically it, right? So why do we keep seeing all these mess ups? Why do we keep seeing some of the most basic bitch mess ups by these consultants that are supposed to exist on these titles? Why is that? Assassin's Creed.
Because they're virtue signalers who are literally grifting. And I can't blame them, by the way. The professor who consulted Assassin's Creed Shadows, that guy probably got paid in that one consulting gig more than he typically gets paid in 2 years. And he didn't have to do shit. Everything was wrong, and still they just gobbled the slop he was throwing at their direction and then tried to use them to sell his stupid book. I mean, I can't even blame these people for trying to grift the consultation gig because it's this out of hand at this point. Actually, more power to you if you find a way to grift consultation, because consultation in itself is just by definition a grift.
Is another example. Assassin's Creed Shadow, based in feudal Japan. Why does it have Chinese architecture? Why does it have Chinese subtitles for the trailer that came out in Japan? Why are you making all of these such basic decisions, these basic mistakes, when you supposedly have consultants that are there to ensure accuracy as best as possible? Why? And it happens all the time. It happens in a multitude of different games all the time. It's almost as if these supposed consultants that they hire are not really experts in the field. All they do is do a simple Google search and hope that they're accurate. That's basically it, because they've managed to get themselves hired by...
Oh, look at him. He's being so nice. He's giving them way more credit than he should. They're not even Google searching.
These companies, no matter whether or not they actually provide a good service or not. because, like Sweet Baby Inc. told us, they like to terrorize marketing groups to make sure that they get hired, whether or not they actually want to be hired or not, right, by the company. Whether the company actually wants to hire SBI or companies like SBI, they don't really care. They're forcing them to hire them. She then shared one example. There was also that time when all the Microsoft distributors in Turkey were arrested because Engatta 95 had a release with a map that included an area for Kurdistan. That one did get fixed, of course. Microsoft was a good company. They didn't want people getting arrested, and they knew they couldn't expect game developers to be well-versed in geopolitical issues. Well, apparently your consultants aren't either. I'm not trying to be a dick, but your consultants aren't very well-versed either. You know why they do this? I'm going to tell you exactly why they do this. They do this shit so that they can tell you guys, oh, you found a problem in our game? Well, we hired consultants.
Oh, look, he has the hist thing when someone's when someone's ticked off in mangas and animes. That's so cute.
We hired consultants. We didn't do that. The consultants did it, right? They want to be able to pass blame off to someone else who's not them. That's the biggest reason why they hire these consultants, so that nobody can look at them and say, well, you're racist. Nobody can look at them and say, well, you guys are ethnically, insensitive or whatever. They can't say a thing because all they got to do is point to their DEI hires and say, no, we hired consultants. We're good. We're good. We got our shield. We're good.
I agree with that.
It's a small amount to pay to ensure the cancel mob doesn't come after us because we made sure that we hired consultants. That's the new hot word now, right? All the DEI nonsensical fans out there, all they want to see is if you have consultants. As long as you have consultants, then that's fine. They don't give a shit if the consultants do a good job or not, which they don't most of the time, by the way. They don't care about that. Anyway, so they started hiring. They hired a group of localizers and created an entire group to help the product teams be sensitive to those issues. You couldn't have a game developer putting the Microsoft brand at risk. From there, Fryer transitioned to Ubisoft in Assassin's Creed Shadows. After having those experiences, I'm baffled about how...
To be fair, now this is the crazy part. There is truth to this. Again, man, who would have fucking thought that being good at business finance is gonna come in handy when talking about folk game developers and gaming in general? I actually didn't think that's gonna happen. But here it is. This is true. From a business standpoint, when you're a big enough company, the only thing you do is manage risk. You want to negate as much risk as possible. Do you know why Vanguard and Chase and J.P. Morgan, Stanley, and all of those places, investment groups, hedge funds, banks, and whatnot, pretty much always exclusively deliver a return to their clientele that is under what you would gain if you just invested cold hard cash into the SP 500? Any guesses? Any guesses? I contextually already gave you the answer. That's because they're not actually looking to win the market. They're looking at all of these hedge funds. They primarily are trying to negate risk, because when you're a billionaire, the biggest problem is not earning 5% income or 6% income. It's managing the risk that you don't lose 20% of that income. That is what all of these companies do, and this is true. These consultation firms exist because Microsoft doesn't want their reputation tarnished and shit like that to happen, even though we all know that it's completely irrelevant, honestly, in the modern day for the people who are going to buy or not buy your games. And so, yeah, small tidbit, but very interesting in my opinion. Again, big enough company, risk management before profits.
How some of the things I'm seeing today. Did any of the executives at Ubisoft question whether or not Assassin's Creed Shadows was a good idea? I've been to Japan many times. I worked with Namco as a producer on Revenge of Arcade, and during Xbox, I managed a team there. I love the people and the culture. And based on that experience, I would never have agreed to do this game because even if you handled it as delicately as possible, it's easy to make a mistake, she continued. And I think they have. The game isn't even out yet. It's already mired in controversy, and this isn't what you want for your game. Maybe it'll blow over, and they'll be able to navigate this. But if not, that was a very expensive experiment, she concluded. And
this is also something I don't agree with, because we have actually seen this many times with Japan. The Japanese love their culture, and they are happy when foreigners actually take interest in them, but when they're not like oppressive shits and whatever, right? If most Japanese people are completely fine with the idea that Westerners like their culture and enjoy it, and all of those things, and they want to call it good and whatnot. The Japanese en masse, because again, there's always fringes to literally everything we always talk about, and we by default ignore them because that just complicates the conversation. In just the name of like 1 or 2% of the people, the average Japanese would be pretty happy if a game tried to celebrate how they were and what they are. And the developers said, hey, we're not Japanese. We just love the Japanese culture and all of this stuff. And we want to make something cool in the Japanese style. No one would be out for a lynching and say, you got the 17th century potato fucking wrong, dipshit. And now you're gonna be banned from Japan. No, people would celebrate it. They would point out mistakes, but that would be fine. You can't get everything perfectly, but as long as the intent is good and wholesome, I don't think people would mind.
Well, the truth is, Ubisoft has been doing a lot of expensive experiments to the point where now the company's about to be bought out, right? And I've been saying this for the longest time. Here's what they're doing. Ubisoft is not going to do a buyout until Shadows comes out. Once Shadows actually releases, then they will say something. Then they will mention the buyout. But up until then, they're not going to mention a...
No. Oh, he doesn't understand the point of a buyout here. The point of the buyout, why Ubisoft even has talks about a buyout, is because the investors are completely fucking jumping ship. Ubisoft is just going down, 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 down. And now probably if you look at it, Ubisoft is hugely, hugely shorted. AKA people are betting that it's going to go down. And the people who have invested in Ubisoft are currently their actual stockholders and whatnot, not just stock borrowers. Are like, oh my god, this shit is gonna go down. People hate Assassin's Creed Shadows. When this drops, the stock is gonna go even more down. So they are forcing Ubisoft to buy out their shares because they need to buy out the shares with by paying a premium, and that's how they want to recuperate their losses. They're not gonna recuperate their losses fully, but maybe they at least make some of their money back and not lose everything. The Ubisoft shareholders probably are not going to be interested in Ubisoft buying back their shares after Assassin's Creed Shadows drops, because, well, if it's successful, but it's probably not going to be, the stock price is going to plummet further down and they get less money. If Assassin's Creed Shadows drops, most likely what is going to happen is the shareholders are going to demand that Ubisoft announce a new game, so the shares go a little bit up, and then they're going to ask for the same thing. They don't want this. Ubisoft themselves don't obviously want to do a buyback, because that's literally their money just gone out the window. Because when you're doing a buyback of shares and you want to take the company private, you're never getting that money back. So Yves Guillemot, or whatever the hell his stupid name is not gonna do this no matter what, because that's him just literally losing money with no recuperation ability whatsoever.
Single thing. They desperately don't want to say anything until the day comes where Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out. And I keep telling you guys, Assassin's Creed Shadows has to be a mega hit. And I'm talking mega hit, right? I'm like astronomical hit for it to come anywhere close to saving Ubisoft. If Assassin's Creed doesn't hit, and I pretty much guarantee you it's not going to, even if it sells a little bit, even if it sells well for the Assassin's Creed title, it doesn't matter. Ubisoft has lost way too much money. Ubisoft has spent way too much money on their activism. They've blown it on titles like...
Easily 1.5 billion lost in just this year alone. Beautiful. Because again, the amount of games that they have failed is insane.
Skull and Bones. They've blown it on freaking Star Wars Outlaws. They have lost too much money. And every time a new quarter comes out, they're talking about losing hundreds of millions of dollars. It is not a company that can be saved by one singular game, even if that game does well. The only chance that they have is if the game does Black Myth Wukong level numbers. That's the only way that they have a chance of not potentially being bought out. Otherwise,
Well, it's not happening. In any case, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I can't wait for it. It's going to be great. And that was Hypnotic, the Pokemon. 10 out of 10. Bye.